I recently ran this giveaway in association with TaylorMade called Gain a Club Series, where one lucky winner was going to get to come down to the Forest of Arden and have an incredible experience with myself and TaylorMade. Robert was that lucky winner, and he has come down to Forest of Arden today to have a lesson with myself, so we can work on his golf swing, and he's also going to get a club fitting with a TaylorMade fitting expert, Dan, to see if we can gain him some distance with the new P-Series irons. Let's start off with a lesson and taking a look at his current golf swing. So let's take a look at Robert's golf swing. So the first thing I was looking at was kind of the data and the ball flight, and you'll see down here at the bottom, his club path was nearly 7 degrees in to out. He was a little bit shallow, hitting down by 2 degrees, and that was where his inconsistencies came from, the path being a long way out to the right and that slightly shallow attack angle. So if we have a look at the swing, we'll see kind of why those things happened. If we start off over on this right-hand side, and what you'll see quite early on is that Robert had this upper body shift off the target. So you'll see that as he rotates, his head shifts quite a long way off the golf ball, and he stayed a little bit too much in his forward bend. We're going to speak about that a little bit later in the lesson. So this was a movement off the ball, and what that did was it caused, on the left-hand side, it caused his arms of the club just to get a little bit lower than I would like to see them in that takeaway, but that was just related to what the body did. The other thing that I noticed was that as Robert went back, he tended to keep the club face quite closed. Now, that would make a lot of sense based on the fact that his path was out to the right. You know, if that face is excessively closed, he's probably going to have to swing 6 or 7 degrees out the right to get that ball to kind of curve back. But what we're seeing here is a great example of a golfer who has got certain movements in there. He does a great job of marrying those up and getting them to work, but it's going to be inconsistent, and that's kind of what we saw. His strike wasn't as good as it could be, and he had generally a lot of curve from right to left. So what I really wanted to do with Robert was to try and get him to understand the rotation a little bit better, understand how to move his upper body to keep that head a little bit more centered. I felt that was going to help his strike, and on its own, I thought that would help his path as well. So then all we had to do in the lesson was to try and neutralize that club face a little bit, so we start to get better strikes and a little bit more of a neutral ball flight. Let me just play the rest of the swing through so you can see. Pretty good golf swing. A lot of things that Robert did really well, but I definitely felt there was a few things in there that we could help him with. Right, let's jump onto the mat and we'll actually go through the lesson with Robert. If the head's moving in the golf swing, which yours is, could be down, up, left, right, whatever it may be, it's not the head. It's the fact that your head is connected to your upper body and your upper body movement. So when I take a setup, I tip forward and my chest starts to point more down towards the ground. Now if I made a backswing and we said where's my chest facing, it's not down at the ground, it's kind of probably straight back out that way. And hopefully as I'm doing that, provided I'm doing it close, my head is staying pretty still. What's happening in your golf swing is you take quite a nice address, but as you rotate,
right,
your chest stays down at the ground.
Down at the ground.
Which you probably can't see this from where you're standing, but as you do that, sucks the club kind of more inside.
Yeah.
So I'm making this far more exaggerated.
Yeah.
But your chest stays down, club goes inside, and then you pick it up from there.
Yeah.
And then it's a case, well, can I now recover that? So for us, or for you to keep your head a little bit more still, we actually have to think about your chest. Okay, so I just want you to take a normal address, and we're going to get you to do this, club across your shoulders, and just make some rehearsals where your main goal is to say, okay, let's visualize an arrow, and let's see if in a backswing we can get that arrow to point what you feel is
going back
up
up.
to the sky. So without me helping at all,
Yeah.
just try and make a little backswing and feel like your chest points up over that camera. That's it. Okay? Yeah. Okay, you might feel that down the...
Down my lower back,
Okay, so you've done it perfectly.
Yeah.
You just haven't stayed.
Okay, got you.
So this time,
Yeah.
do it now. There you go.
Right.
I feel different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not your head moving, it's the upper body that's moving in
Yeah.
slightly incorrect way. And if you think, you know, wherever my golf club is,
Yeah.
whether it's backswing or downswing, if I put the club anywhere and I change the shape of my body, it's going to change where the club is.
Yeah.
So if your club is moving around your body not quite in the right way, we have to fix what the body's doing first, because it's very likely if we get your body to move better, suddenly we'll video it and it'll be like, well, the club's now moving
Better.
So what we're going to do now is we're basically going to say, okay, we've sort of tried to understand the movement.
Yeah.
We've tried to understand that movement with a club. We now need to understand that movement in the context of a golf swing. So what we're going to do, set up to a golf ball.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in and hold your head, just make sure there's no movement. And you're just going to make a backswing where you feel like your chest points at the sky.
Yeah.
When I step out of the way, you're just going to let the club collect the ball. Okay, good. Just click them up. What we're going to do now, get you to try and put a bit of speed in there.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to go club here, and I'm not going to hold your head. So I want you to go chest to the sky, swing all the way through. Really good. Caught it heavy, but it was a good swing, really good swing. Really good. Really good. If you think about what you had when we looked at the swing, if our 200 marker was our target, you had the golf club swinging to the right, and then relative to that, the club face was closed, which is why the balls would sort of curve back. Now, what we sort of said was, if we can improve this, you know, head position and have it less off the ball, we should improve our contact. But what I also felt was that doing that would change where your club swings from being, let's say, a long way out to the right to a little bit straighter.
Yeah.
So if I swing out to the right and I have the face closed, the ball comes back.
Yeah.
If I start to swing straighter, but the face closed, well, now they're going a little bit left.
Yeah.
So what I felt by making this change from face on was we're going to get a better strike and a better direction of swing, but we'd then need to just marry up the club face to that. You've obviously got this feeling in the backswing.
Yeah.
Okay. And as you do that, I want you to just feel as if in your takeaway, the toe of the club gets a little bit more above the heel.
Right.
Okay. So this is the toe, this is the heel.
Yeah.
At the moment, and again, I'm probably going to make this far more exaggerated, you have a tendency to do this.
Right.
Okay. Now, if we return to the ball,
yeah,
it's going to be a little bit more closed.
Right.
Okay. Oh, that was really good. There's a little right, but that was really nice. Strike was great, trajectory was way better.
Yeah.
A little bit out to the right, but I'll tell you what, that's really close there. And to get that a little straighter, you've just got to have more confidence to use this on the way through.
Right.
And that's really good.
Was I stopped
just
there?
Turn through, yeah, just got to turn through.
Right.
Golf swing, really good. So, end of the lesson. Let's see where we are and what changes we made. You can see Robert's swing on the screen. This is after the lesson. This is me just holding the phone, so it might wobble around a little bit. You can see we've got his head marked with those red lines. But if we just look at his backswing movement, so much better in that rotation. There's a tiny bit of head movement, but far less. And that's Robert just trying to feel like his chest goes up towards the sky, as we spoke about. And that's really how we controlled the head. We didn't actually ever get him to think of his head at all. We just got him to think of how he moves his upper body. And what we felt that was going to do is, because of him moving his body in a different way, I thought that would influence path, and we did see that. So when we look at the group of shots that Robert hit at the end, 8 shots, we see the path closer to 0. See, it's 4.5. It was nearly 7, so closer. Attack angle, still not where we want it, but better. And we saw a jump up in the carry distance as well. And for me, in a 1 hour lesson, that was perfect. Did we take Robert from where he was to where he's perfect for him? No. But did we move him closer? Yes. Robert had only ever had 2 golf lessons before this, and one of those was a putting lesson. So I was really conscious that I didn't want to overload him with the information, change too much, move him really out of his comfort zone to the point where he felt like it wasn't his golf swing, because I knew that that would really just disorientate him and he'd probably hit it worse and revert back to what he did. So now it's time for the fitting. We're going to get Dan from TaylorMade, and he's going to put Robert into some of the new P series irons.
To back yardage is massive because you're not getting the consistency of play. So my aim is to get the right head, but also the right shaft. I think we can go a little lighter.
So we're about 10 or 15 minutes into the fitting now, and they're looking at ball flights and now talking about different shafts and heads. And they had a chat about what Robert needed the ball to do, and they both felt that they needed to launch the ball a little bit higher. So Dan's now got a really clear idea about the ball flight that he wants to see from Robert. They're looking at the spec of the clubs, and they're just looking now at different shafts that might give Robert that little bit more lift off the club face is going to help him. But then it's going to be a case of trying to find what head works. So you've got the 770s, you've got the MCs, you've got the 790s, all doing different types of things in terms of launch and spin and ball speed. At the moment, he's got the 790, but he's also got the 770 there as well, I can see. So we'll see what he ends up with. So Robert is going to leave today with a brand new set of P series irons, but we're going to run this whole experience again, but with a Stealth 2 driver. So if you want to have the experience that Robert's having, but come down to the Forest of Arden and get fitted into a brand new Stealth 2 driver to see if we together can gain your club's distance, you can do. Drop down into the description, you'll find all the terms and conditions and how you need to enter, and you could be here where Robert is, getting a brand new Stealth 2 driver.
I'm going to give you the 770 head as well to look at. So the 790 was the first one that I gave you there.
Right.
And this is essentially, to make it simple, it's baby brother.
Okay.
Right? Elements of the technology is the same. It's got foam inside.
Yep.
So it's forged face, but it's a looks like a blade, but it's not. It's a cavity.
Okay.
It's a hollow construction. Now this is more in terms of what I would expect to see between the two. I'd expect to see maybe a touch less ball speed, possibly.
Right.
But it's just more for you that you can actually see it and see if you like the look of it, really.
Right.
But this is a slightly sleeker top line.
Right.
Launch angle was slightly better, but if we look at the peak height on some of them was a little better, but the consistency wasn't there until we went to, ironically, the slightly sleeker on paper. I never like to say less forgiving because it's relevant to the player.
Yeah.
You know, that's proving the point that just because the 790 is a little bit bigger and, you know, a bit wider for the miss hits, I've give you the 770, the slightly sleeker option. You've hit it consistently better, higher, better grouping, not as many off-centre strikes with that one, just because it suits your eye and suits the profile of how you like to see an iron.
I just want to grab down for a couple of minutes and just get his advice on 3 things that you need to know if you're going for a fitting on iron. So follow me, we'll find out.
Number 1, take your own current clubs. That's absolutely massive for the fitter. It's key for the golfer as well to see how they're performing, but that would be absolutely number 1. It's a bit of it's a tough starting point when they haven't got the current irons. That would definitely be number 1. Number 2, go with an idea of what you want out of the fit. All right, go to your fitter and be calm and say, I'm looking for, it could be more distance, more height, more control, want to check my line angles. Go there with an idea of what you want before there. However, the third point would be to counter that as well. Also, listen to the fitter. You know, work together, work as a team. Be open-minded. Yes, go with an idea, but you know, be open to suggestions from the fitter. But the fact that we've got the 770 with technology, action-packed to create more speed, create more height, it's only going to be a winner for you. So, you know, we picked up there, Chris. I'd say I didn't think, you know, we'd pick up a little bit of distance there, but we did, you know, which was great. Look at your landing angle. All right, that's up nearly 7 degrees better. All right, so you're going to get better descent angle, more control, you know, coming down. If you start to look at your peak height, you know, we picked up 12 feet there in terms of your peak height there as well.
Right, mate, this is what we ended up with. Well,
We did.
what you ended up with, the P770. So just talk us through that process, you know, kind of where you started and how you ended up with this particular golf club.
You know, he was using a shaft in his iron that was to aid a little bit more flight than, but he needed more of that, essentially. Definitely thought that graphite was going to be the way forward, and he was on board with that before we even started, which is great as the fitter, because there is still a misconception about graphite in irons, you know, that we'll see, you know, week in, week out. And with Robert, he wanted something that's still in that player's category. He wants something that's a little bit sleeker.
Definitely got that with that.
Now, we put him in the P790, a multiple array of shafts, and there was one shaft that was certainly working better, which was that one there, the recoiled dart shaft. Now, going into the 770 sound, well, it's a little bit sleeker, you know, on paper it's not as forgiving. You don't like to think of it that way because, you know, it's different for every single golfer, but because he got quite shallow, because it's a slightly thinner sole versus the 790, as soon as I put the 770 in, just flighted it better, the strike was better, the consistency was better. Now, he actually started to increase more distance versus his own, which was just an added bonus, really. You know, that wasn't the main reason why we were going into these irons. He doesn't naturally get as much loft to the golf ball as probably what we want every time, and that's obviously something you worked on with his lesson. So there was a bit of a crossover there when we get to that kind of mid and longer irons. So we dropped the 5 iron, put the 5 rescue in, and straight away that popped up, gives him much more inviting look at address than maybe putting the 5 iron in. It was good. 770 with the recoil dart. We do this in multiple weights. In reg, this was the 65. This was the lighter option that we do in it. But yeah, 770, P770, the new P770 we just launched this year, so that's certainly going to be a winner for us in this category of an iron, and I think it'll be a winner for Robert. Yeah.
Your journey today was not necessarily about trying to hit it 20 yards further or 10 so it's more about getting the ball flight right, getting the grouping more consistent, and I think look, you know, speaking to Dan, we've done that. So the good people at TaylorMade are going to get those built for you, going to get them shipped out to you. So I will touch base with you when they've arrived, see how you're getting on. But thank you for coming down today. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
And
thank TaylorMade as well.
Absolutely.
Very kind.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks very much.
So did we gain Robert a club of distance? We didn't today, but Robert did gain a brand new set of irons, which is great. So Robert's going to get those shipped out to him once they are built at TaylorMade. What we did do with Robert is we gave him a much better ball flight. He's got a far more neutral flight with the irons. He's got a far higher ball flight with the irons. That's going to be super valuable when he's out on the golf course. You'll notice there from the fitting, Dan actually went into the 770 irons. The 790s did actually give Robert quite a bit more ball speed. He did pick up a little bit more distance, but they both felt that the 770s gave him a slightly better spin rate, a slightly better ball flight, and they ultimately sacrificed a little bit more distance for a little bit more control and a little bit more predictability over the ball flight. So Robert has got a brand new set of irons, and like I said a moment ago in the video, if you want to take part and get yourself a brand new Stealth 2 driver, fully fitted and a lesson with myself, drop down into the description. Everything is down there that you need to know. Get yourself entered, and we will pick one lucky winner very, very soon.